Saluki Nation, it is hard to believe, but it is basketball season. Friday will be the exhibition opener, one of two exhibitions for Saluki basketball, which means let's bring in that smiling face of the coach Rodney Watson, soon to be Saluki Hall of Famer. I can't say it quite yet, Rodney, right? We can't say it till after next Friday and the ceremony and the 5-minute speech.
Are you saying that they can still change their mind? Is that what you're implying? I could screw this up.
I'm not going to say that I'm not on the committee, but let's just say I know people who are. So, we'll deal with that when you're in here, by the way. That's the funny thing is now that we do these video podcasts throughout the year, your buddy, Steve Wells has obviously helped us out here. I mean, what's going on at home? I think we need to see some improvements there in the Evansville studio there for our
Well, you've given me some graphics pictures that I'm thinking about some brick walls back behind me soon. We're going to try to figure out how we can pull that off. That might the chief architect is downstairs right now. We have to run that by her and Carol Watson, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, hey, brother, it's always great to see you when we're having these conversations because it means we're in season. It really is kind of hard to believe that we're already here with the exhibition game on Friday. I mean, we were talking about it just in a casual conversation. I mean, for the common fan and for diehard Saluki fans who've been following Saluki basketball forever, I mean, take them through where typically like your first practice would be compared to now the first exhibition game. I mean, here on Friday, it is amazing just how far this thing has gone into what we always talk about with our fans, the professional college basketball model.
Well, it's changed a lot. We're all skeptical about some of the new stuff, but in the long run, so many good changes have happened. Look, there was never any summer workouts. Now, I'm one that realized when I went Division II and they wouldn't allow that because of logistical reasons. If some people don't have the ability to bring guys back to campus, I get all that. But it was very conservative. The Walter Byer era of the NCAA back in the day, very conservative. And as you look back, I'm not sure. I think it wasn't a less is more. But then all of a sudden, toward the end of Coach Herron's era, then we started doing individual workouts in the summertime. When Coach Weber got here, they introduced some summer activity that allowed you to do some lifting, and that's when things really changed for me with college athletics as a whole. When we were doing things the way Purdue did them, we were bringing our guys on campus. The beauty of it was, and what the rule makers decided was it's not a bad thing to have your hands on them. There is some truth to less is more, but in reality, when we had guys on campus in the summer, our graduation rate, man, it was really going up, and it was because you guys had to, in order to do stuff, you had to be taking classes, and it was productive, and then now with summer workouts where basically you have practice time and so forth, I think it's healthy. I think a lot of data has helped about injuries. There was a big concern realizing that when practice started October 15th, we're trying to jam everything in. They put in the 1 day a week off, which I thought was a very healthy rule. But there were too much things getting jammed in between October 15th and the start of the season. How about this, Luke? One season. Now, I don't know who in the world was making these rules up, but practice didn't start till November 1st, and I'm not sure that games could start, I want to say, the weekend after Thanksgiving or something. I think we're going to see another significant change. I think that with the amount of revenue that's going to be required to operate in college athletics, I think seasons are going to extend. You've got 162 Major League Baseball games, and we all know the different pro sports. I'm not advocating for 82 basketball games like the NBA schedule or even extended time in the game. However, I would like to see it in these scrimmages, but I see that there's going to have to be opportunities to generate revenue. And I really foresee the next big thing is going to be additional regular season games, maybe in conference play. Maybe you play, however many, maybe 20 conference or maybe 30 conference games and then 10, whatever that number is, non-conference. I see that being maybe something down the road, but that's way bigger. That's way above my pay grade. But it's very healthy. I'm glad these guys are getting a chance to play. I think, when we've talked to the guys, Luke, to hear what they're studying. I was at a luncheon where the assistant commissioner of the Indiana High School Athletic Association was there, and he made the point very similar to what you and I have talked about. He goes, we don't even talk about kids getting degrees anymore. They don't even, he said this, it's like I gave him the script that I've been saying to you, and I agree. And that's what's been really refreshing and healthy for us to hear our guys, what they're studying. Hey man, we got some dudes studying what I call the real stuff. Jaheim's doing accounting and going down the list, and Damian Mayo's doing some engineering stuff. And I mean, these guys that's still the pot of gold in college athletics, is getting that degree. Because the thing that, and this will be my last pitch for higher education, when you look at the cost of tuition and fees, and we talk about college tuition and fees, in theory are high, but the reality is it's right around 14,000 per year at SIU, so just under 50,000 for tuition and fees. When starting salaries, initial salaries are near 50,000. I go back to say, okay, when I was in college, it cost me at Eastern Illinois about $10,000 in tuition and fees. My first job in college, $12,000. Trust me, you can't afford not to go to either going to the trades or going in to go get a college education. You can't afford not to do this. And college education is very affordable, and you've got, you can't screw around, that's for sure. But to hear our guys talking about what they're studying, then you throw on the athletic piece to it. Hey man, college is still in a healthy spot, but we've got to promote it. We've got to make kids understand you can't afford not to go to college. You add that to maybe with the trades, man, you're really going to come out ahead. But there's so many avenues for people to go, and certainly college education is very important.
Well, we look forward to bringing you the first exhibition game on Friday against Austin Peay. And what most of this conversation is going to be about, we'll have these as we go throughout the year, is going to be centered around the Salukis going into Friday more than just the opponent in Austin Peay, who's been a team the last couple of years that we've seen with Coach Gibson. And man, they've been in some entertaining games in the regular season each of the last 2 years. Last year in their building in Clarksville, which thankfully the Dogs were able to pull out that win the year prior when they came in the Banterra and was able to beat the Salukis. But as we kind of transition into this year, Coach Watson, look, so much of the topic within the Saluki basketball program has been more continuity within the program and all the coaches coming back on staff. Have we talked about that enough, of how important that is for this program to make the strides in year two when everybody on that coaching staff is back? You didn't have anybody leave. And then you factor in, you have 6 returners coming back, which in college basketball, that's a number that you don't get very often across the board, if anywhere.
Yeah, that's a real compliment to the program, to Coach Nagy and his staff. And that is an indicator that they're selling the right product. I mean, these guys are treated well. The education is outstanding, as all of them will attest to when you hear them speak, that they're really getting a great education. So that's the start of everything. When you see 13, 14 new people every year, man, that's where you got to start looking at the model. That is this thing really working?
Well, let's look at this team. And one of the biggest areas, you talk about those 6 returners coming back. This is going to be a Saluki team that is going to contend for the league championship this year in the Missouri Valley. Coach Watson, you need one of those 6 guys, if not multiple of those guys, to make major strides forward. None of those 6 guys were necessarily huge stat hogs a year ago for this team. You want a group or a couple of these guys to be in that conversation for most improved player within the Missouri Valley Conference, especially when you have that many guys who are coming back. What are you most eager to watch starting on Friday? The 6 guys who are coming back, who you and I said their names multiple times a year ago, just weren't in maybe the biggest roles in terms of scoring output and those main things that obviously fans go to and you look to on a stat sheet.
Yeah, it starts with Drew Steffi and Damian Mayo, without question. Those 2 guys, I'll tell you what, Drew Steffi had impressive numbers now, Luke. That when you average over 8 points in in conference play as a freshman, that's doing something. Now that's impressive. He's got to continue. He's got to be more of a complete player, being his second full year of playing. And that's going to be really important to watch. Damian he's one of the few 4-year players in the Missouri Valley Conference. That'll be a stat that maybe I'll ask you to look up. I didn't get that one before we went into. There aren't many people that staying in one conference for 4 years. And he's going to, from Missouri State to Southern Illinois, certainly Davion Sykes. I'm hearing great things about the way he's using his talent level, his ability to rebound. He can be an impactful player with that 6'6" frame, long arms, the ability to play at the rim, go get balls, keep possessions alive on the offensive end, change possessions on the other end. Jorge Moreno, I think he's I think he's the best kept secret in the league, man. This guy is so productive for what he does. I love the way he plays his position in the low post. I think they've got a true player that they can really go with. Jaheim Weber, someone they're really excited about. Again, he's getting ready to play his first college game coming in the 1st of November, and he'll be really important.
Two of the biggest newcomers to the team, but aren't really newcomers to college basketball. Isaiah Stafford, Kelron House are two guys that, when you look at the incoming transfer portal players, no doubt they carry a lot of weight. Prince Aligbe as well is going to be a name that we will say from time to time again. And, of course, his younger brother Rollins being on the team is going to be one of those newcomers that will be impact guys, especially down in the post for this Saluki basketball team this year. But specifically for a guy like Kelron, who comes from a team that won a game against Georgia Tech in the NIT. He knows what it's like. You talk about all the time, Coach Watson. You can't undervalue playing and practicing in the month of March and having success in that month. Kelron's been a part of it. And, of course, Isaiah Stafford. He has proven it within the Missouri Valley Conference that he can be a valuable asset to a team at Valpo. And now he's just trying to do it coming off an injury here at SIU.
Those are two big names you're talking about. Kelron, first of all, having a point guard, like a real point guard, not a guy you're converting, a true point guard, point guard instincts, point guard passing, point guard eyes, point guard hands, a left hand, a right hand, someone that sees the floor, knows how to find people, wants to find people. He knows that the more he's also a scorer now. I mean, he can score. I know he's showing that this fall in practice and scrimmages, but Kelron's a guy that he's got Louisville culture. He's got Louisville pedigree. There's just certain areas that basketball is really key in those areas. He comes from a city where basketball's a big deal. Played at Seneca, the home of Wes Unseld and several other great players. But Kelron's they're going to ask a lot of him, and with that, I like the fact that Caden Hawkins can also play that position. We forced his dad, Shane Hawkins, to be a point guard, and he was more of a shooting guard. It's unfortunate, but it comes back to my initial point. Point guards are hard to find, and good ones are really hard to find. And I think Southern's got that position, man, quite well. I really like what's going to happen there. Isaiah Stafford, a fifth-year guy, a guy that started at Southern Indiana, a guy that he's always been a shooter. He's not a guy that you go and say, well, he wasn't a very good shooter in high school. No, he's a really good shooter in high school. He's a really good shooter at Southern Indiana. He was very good at John A. Logan and Valpo and had the injury. And what I like is that I don't hear about the injury. I think there was some talk about that early in the summer, and I think I sense with what I've heard from you and Coach Nagy that, they've kind of decided, hey, that's in the past, man. I mean, that's over. And having the ability to score from the perimeter is just going to open up everything else with what they have.
What you also want to see start to come to fruition a bit, Rodney, is in a lot of the interviews that we've been turning out that you've been doing with the players. We had Davion Sykes, who, by the way, is getting really good at interviews. He was outstanding with us earlier this week on our coaches show, Inside Saluki Athletics. What I like when you hear guys like Prince Aligbe, Davion Sykes, what are some of the things that they're talking about more than any other is doing the things that really take no talent, and more so being willing to do a lot of the dirty things that don't show up at the end of the night on a stat sheet. They're going to be clear and obvious that led the Salukis to a win because, man, those guys specifically, because of their physical frame, their athletic ability, all the different things that they can bring in conjunction with being able to put the ball in the hoop but more importantly, those guys can be relentless on the boards and be a pain in the butt on the defensive side of the floor. If those guys can do that, and that's what we're hoping to see starting Friday, I want to see, hey, are those just words or are those actions? And if those guys can follow up what their words with actions and what they've done in practice, I really think Saluki Nation are going to like those two guys and the strides that they make and what they could do for this team this year.
Yeah, and I disagree with their assessment of talent. Yeah, it takes a lot of talent to be tough. It takes a lot of courage, whether it's a skill or talent, however you wanted to classify that. Not everybody's got it, and for those guys to have that, because they're going in the territory where there will be hands, forearms, legs, rear ends, everything's going to be connecting with their body, and not always in a friendly way. And you've got to be tough. And I like where. Both the League Bays and Davion Sykes, what their numbers, according to what the data says in practice, what they're willing to do. They're willing to get in there and do the dirty work where it's physical and tough, and you get and you bleed and you bruise and you do that to your opponent as well. So that's been, I was thinking about the success that the Salukis had over the decades, and the teams that were really good had tough guys, and the weight room is a big part of it. But the weight room teaches you to be tough. It gives you confidence with toughness. It gives you a confidence that you can go be the bruiser and you can be the initiator of contact. And I think what you've described, I think these guys are starting to realize they can be that. And here's the other cool thing with all three of them. These aren't young guys. These are guys that Rollins is the youngest of the three, but these guys are these guys are 4 years out of high school. These are men now. These guys can hurt you if you decide to get in their way. And I'm not advocating that, other than that's part of sports. It's part of every sport. And these guys are big and strong, and I think the weight room's been great to them, and I think they're applying that on the court.
Well, you continue to look, obviously, come Friday, will be the first exhibition game for this team. And what's key about these exhibition games, Coach Watson, is, one, the stats don't count, which, yes, of course, in terms of the win-loss, all that. But I bring that up because it also means that guys that maybe you could potentially redshirt can play. Now, it will be interesting to see how Coach Nagy and the staff really want to deal with the substitutions, because as we have described, this has been a team in Austin Peay the last 2 years have been really competitive games in the regular season between both of these teams. But it's an opportunity for a lot of some of the young guys and guys who potentially are right on that line. I mean, I think Coach Nagy would say, if he was here with us, there's still going to be a lot of decisions made here in terms of what that rotation looks like. I mean, you could speak out. I see you nodding your head, because as a coach, it's still a very important period for this team. There is nothing, I would say, that's set in stone right now for Saluki basketball of what that rotation is going to look like starting on Friday.
Yeah, and the problem with these scrimmages is that they're only 200 minutes, and there's going to be 14 guys that need to play. I would hope that they would consider, and I don't think it's going to happen in this first one, but maybe in the second one, I hope they would consider playing 24-minute halves. Because, look, if you break the numbers down, your top 8 guys are going to play 18 to 20 minutes. I mean, they're going to eat up somewhere just under 160 minutes. That's 6 guys going to be, to evaluate your next 6 guys, that only leaves 40 minutes. The way that the coaches are going to distribute the minutes will be really, really important. Whether they play 2 20s and a 10-minute, I don't know what they're going to do, but that's kind of, I wish they would consider extending these to extended minutes in their halves, because these are October 17th is an important day. It can't, the thing you look at as a coach, you look at 3 things as a team. You look at, first of all, you and Coach Nagy have talked a lot about their concentration on the defensive end. And so you're looking at the coach and the coaching staff, they're looking foremost, what it looks like with the 5 guys on the court, ball pressure in your gaps, meaning 1 pass away, and then the guys on the opposite side of the floor, the weak side defense, and how that maintains. And are they getting the concept? Is it perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect in October. You hope it's perfect come the conference tournament. But You're looking at that. You're looking at team rebounding. Who's aggressive? Are you in position? Are you blocking out? Are you holding your position? Are you going and pursuing balls at the peak of your jump? And then you're looking at your team offense. All right, is there pace? Even that's a word we haven't heard much of, but Coach Nagy is going to play with pace, man. That's his DNA. If we're going to put uniforms on, we're going to play with pace on offense. That's just the way it is. And what I like is their commitment to the defensive end is going to help their pace. It's going to create more possessions. But you're going to look at shot selection as a team. You're going to look at different things as a team. You're going to look at how they share the ball, the extra pass. Again, they're not going to put in this super secret play for this first exhibition game. If it comes down to it, they're going to call a timeout and run something and see what happens. But you're going to look at spacing. You're going to look at how guys play together. Those are the three main things you're looking at as a team. Here's what you're looking at individually. And here's what players got to understand. Players have a practice mentality and they have a game mentality. And I don't care who it is. I can go through all the guys that we were fortunate to be around that are incredibly committed, guys whose picture are on the wall, they're in the Hall of Fame, and they were tough and they were gamers, okay? But there were certain days in practice it was different. And so that'll be the first thing. How do you approach October 17th versus October 16th or the 15th or the 14th? And when they watch the film with each guy has their own coach they watch film with, that'll be something that those assistant coaches, and it's great to hear it from assistant coaches because they're ultimately not dictating your playing time. You can say thing as an assistant that the head coach will be a little more calculated in how they're going to deliver the message. So that's going to start off and be, the approach to, okay, for you to really make strides, are you playing as hard in practice as you are in games? The next thing that's really critical, everybody's being watched by when they come out of the game, whether it's for a mistake or a shot or being tired or not playing hard enough or whatever it is, whether you're coming out just because we're going to rotate and put a new group of people in or new person in, especially if you're coming out so a coach can have a talk with you. They're going to be measured because, as you mentioned earlier, these possessions, even though it's an exhibition game, practice game, those are different than they were on October 16th. You come out, you usually don't come out. You usually just hear the chirp or whatever. And then finally, I like in these games to see how guys play against someone that doesn't know them. I use the word mismatch a lot. Can I bully a guy from Austin Peay? Can I go get a bucket on a guy from Austin Peay? Can he check me out? Can he block me out? I like looking at mismatches, and I know the coaches, just instinctively as coaching, you're looking at a guy saying, boy, I haven't seen that. But man, did he go pick on that guy? And those are the things you're looking at among the other 100 things. But primarily, you're looking at those three things as a team. And I always looked at those other things, from a coaching staff standpoint individually.
I'll be honest. This is the first time that we've talked I've ever heard you talk about mismatches. I don't think I've ever heard you say that before.
First time today. First time. Yeah, big deal. Mismatches are so critical, man, and I hear pros talk about a lot. Especially in the NBA, I hear them talk so much about, looking at a guy's feet. When a guy closes out at me, those guys are looking at their feet, and if your feet are wrong, they will make you pay if they're capable of it. And I'd like to see with these returning guys and the veterans that they have in their new players, we're able to maybe take some advantage of our opponents.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's going to be on Friday. Tip-off will be right around 6 o'clock. It is free. So if you're around Carbondale in the area and want to come check out Banterra, free parking as well. So you can even take Ronnie Watson's spot that he typically gets before. If you get here early enough for the game on Friday, we will have the call for you. It will be on the Varsity Network app. It will also be streaming on the Saluki Basketball Facebook and social accounts and on YouTube via Saluki Athletics. So if you can't make it to the game, there will not be a video stream, but we will have the audio broadcast for you come Friday night, and we will have the long 5-minute pregame show. We'll start right at 5:55 on Friday, but we do look forward to being back inside Banterra. It is that time of year again, and we look forward to being there courtside and bringing it to you between Austin Peay and SIU. So for the coach, and soon to be Hall of Famer in a week in the Saluki Athletics Hall of Fame, Ronnie Watson. I am Luke Martin. We will talk to you Friday from Banterra. Saluki Nation, go Dogs.